The girl came up to me the other day and she says, I'm just praying because the church is not one. I said, yes, it is. She said, no, how can you say that with all the... I said, the church is one. Because if the church is not one, the Father did not answer the Son's prayer. He prayed that the church would be one. Church is one. I said, young lady, your problem is you don't know what the church is. When I talk about the beauty and the fruitfulness of the church in America, people look at me and go, how can you speak that way? I say, because it's true. I must stand up on the scriptures. It is true. The church is beautiful. She is fruitful. Though she is broken and though she has to struggle with sin, the true church in America is absolutely gorgeous. You say, how can you say that? I can say that because I know what the church is. The problem is in America, most people are calling the church something that's not the church. Jesus said there would be a multitude of people gathered in His name that had nothing to do with Him. I'm going to give you an illustration. Imagine, and I've given this so many places, but it's so important. I want to communicate this truth to you. Imagine that a great king, he's going to go on a long journey, and he calls you as the steward to care for his bride that he loves more than everything, more than his kingdom. And he gives you a list, a kingly decree. This is what you're supposed to do with my bride. This is it. You do not add to this list. You do not take away from this list. This is the list. And the king looks at you with fire in his eyes, because this is my bride. I use illustration that oftentimes I would go into red zones in different places in Peru where the terrorists were supposedly in control, or the military was kind of dangerous, or things were going on, and my wife would want to go with me, and I would say, no, you're not going. Why? They pull me off the bus, push me around, do all kinds of things with me. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. No big deal. One of those men lay a finger on my bride. It changes everything. That's my bride. That's my bride. So I would tell her, I don't want to get you in trouble, and I don't want to get me killed. And if I, being evil, could love my wife so that I would fight men, what kind of passion does Christ have for His bride? And so listen, preacher. This applies to missionaries, applies to all of us. So this king, has always delighted in his bride. Oh, she's beautiful, but she's simple. No painted eyes. No need for rouge. A simple white, long, flowing, elegant dress that he gave her. And then he goes on a journey. But as he goes on that journey, he stays longer than everyone supposes. And you, as a wise steward, begin to realize that, well, the people are no longer interested in the king because they're no longer interested in his bride. She's old-fashioned. And so you drop a plan, and some of you have drawn up this plan. And some who will hear me through video have drawn up this plan. So you decide. You're going to change her dress. You're going to paint her face. You're going to restyle her hair. And you're going to march her before a bunch of carnal men like a prostitute in order to use her to draw them back to the king. And that's exactly what these church growth people are doing. This is exactly what's going on in America, and it's going on in the mission field, and it is wrong. And I want you to know on the day of judgment, do not fear for the atheist. Fear for the pastor and the missionary who decided that he must change the look of the bride of Christ in order to make her attractive to carnal men, to bring those carnal men back home. Fear, fear, fear. It should be a daily exercise. Oh Lord, increase my fear of thee. You should look out from that pulpit at that bride of Christ that you're pastoring, that you're teaching, and realize these people, they belong to Him. I will teach them only what the king has told me to teach. I will not add a word to it. I will not take a word away from it. I will treat her as she ought to be treated. I will obey the commands. And I will do so trembling. Know that if I have done it, and I have submitted to his decrees, I have done nothing special. I have only obeyed as I should have.
That's exactly what countless pastors in America are doing today. They have taken the simplicity of the bride of Christ, her magnificent beauty, her purity, her holiness, and they have tore it from her, and they dress her up and parade her in front of carnal men that they will be attracted to somehow come back to God. Let me tell you something. On the day of judgment, don't worry about the atheist. Don't fear for the prostitute or the murderer. You want to fear for somebody on the day of judgment? You fear for a large number of evangelical pastors who have departed from the Word of God and are parading the church in a dress, a garb that God never intended her to wear. Paul says the love of Christ controls us, constrains us, imprisons us. I know a young man that was at a university and was somewhat respected, and he came to know Christ, and a few days later he's standing on the quad, handing out tracts, telling people, Jesus saves, Jesus saved me. His friends came to him. They said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Everyone thinks you're a madman. What happened to you? Look, men are making fun of you. Girls are laughing at you. What are you doing? His only response was, what else can I do? What else can I do? He died. He died. For me. For me. For me. What else can I do now? My life is gone. It's his. He died for us. We've died to the world.